welcome to episode number 2 of Motor Misfits podcast, video log, whatever you want to call it. Back again with Dan. Um, Dan, how's everything in Chicago?
Everything's going pretty well, we're just getting through the day by day, the day by day hustle, I guess you want to call it, back at work, trying to keep stuff going there, which is kind of nice, slowly but surely growing. I mean, usually the beginning of the year it's kind of slow for us, but I feel the momentum's the right, and I think 2025, everybody says, oh, 2025 is my year, but I really do think 2025 will be, a lot of that's right. Get off the rug, chaos.
The dog is currently
Um,
on the rug.
um, but last year was pretty rough in general. A lot of changes happened for a lot of people. We're all going through it. So, um, but it was a good chapter. A lot of chapters were closed last year, but I feel that 2025, will be the turning point for a lot of things, hopefully.
So
So,
this one we're going to focus on something that's kind of special to not only our hearts but a lot of people's hearts. It's Harleys. Both of us ride Harleys. There's lots of bikes out there, lots of different things. But funny, both of us have on Harley shirts. So that's what we're talking about. Dan, number one, where did you get your bike from? And then number two, what is your favorite Harley dealer of all the ones you've been to?
oh, that's good. Okay. Wow. So I have two Harleys. I have a 2003 Classic, which is basically equivalent to like a Street Glide in now. Um, and that was actually the first Harley that I've ever owned. I'm gonna flip that question. I'm gonna ask you what your first Harley was, but that comes. Um, and then, but so I have a 2003 100th anniversary. It's got 100 and some thousand miles on it. I bought it used um, from a Starve Rock Harley, which is still around. It did not get closed with the 2024 or whatnot. And then I have the 2014 Ultra Limited, and I got that from Lakeshore Harley-Davidson, um, which is I like that dealership. I want to say that going to the next, like where my like favorite Harley, they're all nichey in a sense. Um, I think my favorite Harley that I like going to is actually the one that shirt that you actually have on up in Milwaukee, House of Harley. I think just the how they have it set up with, and if you haven't you've been there, but if anybody hasn't been there, House of Harley is set up where they have three big buildings and they're all intertwined. And the first one you walk into, it's just all Harley Davidson stuff. And they probably got anything and everything of Harley Davidson you could think of. And I know that's where you get your chipboards from.
Yeah, so we're not
Um,
sponsored by House of Harley at all, but House of Harley is the one place if you're looking for a chipboard, a 76 chipboard that holds 76 chips, they are the only place that I have found in the US that has a Harley branded 76 chipboard that you can actually get. And I get them from them. I've got 8 of them now, I think, that I order from them every single time.
yeah, so and then in the center they have like I would say their used bike showroom or their bike showroom in the center, but the way that it's set up and how clean it is and crisp it is, and then they have the service department, which is actually really nice. Um, so I would say House of Harley for me would be for me. So now, Craig, so how you have how many Harleys? You have two
I've
Harleys,
got
right?
two. I got two Harleys. I've got a 19 Road Glide Special, which was my first Harley. I picked it up. Well, it's going on 5 years now. I got it in 2020 from Lakeshore Harley as well. I was looking around and I had three specifications that I had to have for the bike. It had to be a solid color. I didn't care what the color was, but it had to be a solid color, no two tone, no stripes, no nothing. It had to have a blacked out engine, and it had to have the 114 in it. And I found one at Lakeshore. Literally called them on a Thursday night, kind of worked the deal out over the phone. Um, Talked to the guy and said, "Hey, I'll be there tomorrow morning to pick it up." And he was like, "Well, I can't get it into service, to have it, detailed and stuff before the morning or whatever." And I was like, "Well, I'm going to be there at 9 a.m. when you open, so whatever it takes, like push it back there right now, whatever." So, but my first one came from Lakeshore Harley. My second one is my '08 Fat Bob that I bought from a private party sale. So that was kind of one that I just picked up because it was a great deal on the bike itself. I feel like I kind of stole that one. That's why I have it. I don't really ride it enough to justify keeping it around, but it's sitting in the garage next to the other three that are in there that are not mine.
But
So um,
but on the thing is, again, you know, it's not a bad thing. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's not a bad thing. It's kind of a rainy day investment. Yes,
yeah,
anybody that says that's knowledgeable in financing a vehicle is just the worst investment that you could make as far as because it's a depreciating asset. And we're not, we don't have a CVO or anything that you need to basically put on blocks and let it sit there. But it's kind of like a rainy day fund.
yeah.
It's you know oh, I need something. Okay, well, I can sell one of the bikes, or or you have like with you, I remember I would come down by you and you'd be like, hey,
Well, I think we lost him. Maybe he'll be back on. Um, but yeah, so my bike from oh, there he comes. There he's
sorry
back.
about that. No, no, we weren't planning on going on a ride, but you let me go ahead and let me use the mistress or what the Fat Bob is
Yeah,
what the
that
bike is.
she's named the
But
mistress because my wife refused to ride on her with me. She's an '08, but she's a stage three 96. Um, so she shakes. She's nasty. Just and the only time I get to ride her is when Jay doesn't go riding with me. So that's
yeah,
why she's got the nickname of the mistress. So when I take off without Jay, hey, I'm out on the mistress. But
exactly.
it's
That
a
bike is quick though.
yeah, it's really fast, just with what it has done, and it's those of you that don't know about the Fat Bob from the early years, it was set on the Dyna frame, so it's the same frames as the Dynas, the lowriders, the FXRs, the FXDX, all of those. Same frame. It's just got a bigger front tire on it, um, but it's a lot of fun to ride, and it'll pick the front wheel up pretty easily. So those of you that are looking for a bike that'll get with it, that the 96 with a stage three on it is no joke.
Now, so let me ask you this question. Now I knew you when you had your Nomad,
Yeah,
okay? And before that you were all into sport bikes.
yeah,
So when you decided to move to a Harley, now your Nomad did not have a fixed fairing. It had a movable fairing and whatnot.
right.
What made you choose, because everybody's going to go through this road glide, street glide debate. There's always going to be
Yeah.
this, oh, it rides better, or this or that. So, what made you choose the road glide? Because I know you, and you're very, not in a bad way, but you're very analytical when it comes to something that's a little bit larger,
Oh
and you
yeah.
want to make sure that it's spec'd out right. Like you said, black motor, 2019, this.
Yeah.
But what made you choose the road glide over the street glide, and what made you choose a Harley over an Indian or going back to Suzuki or Kawasaki or whatever that one was?
So my Nomad I had for 3 years, and it was the one set or the 1700 Nomad. It was great for highway cruising, long miles. Had a great seat on it. I mean, you could ride for thousands of miles on it and be just fine. But it was, I believe it was a 2010, and it was getting up in miles because I got it with 10,000 miles on it, and I put 55,000 miles on it, so it was at 65,000 miles, and I only had it
Yeah.
3 years. So I mean, I was racking up the miles. That was during COVID, so I was out all the time, just riding, just putting miles on it, just to be out of the house. Um, but then when I was looking at bikes, there and don't get me wrong, there are a ton at the time. There were a ton of street glides out there. I mean, everybody was rocking a street glide. It was the best selling bike from Harley. Was the street glide. Everybody had one, and I was like, I want something that's different. So I wanted the same body style, the same touring type of bike, but I wanted it to be different. So I looked, and of course they had the big full dressers, the ultra classics, the ultras, all of those. And I didn't think I needed a tour pack. When we go, 3 or 4 day trips. We're not going for a huge long time, so I didn't think I needed that kind of room. So that knocked out all of those, that had the tour packs and stuff. And the Road Glide just really fit what I was looking for. I got on it, I rode it, and once you ride with a fixed fairing, it just deflects all the wind off of you, and you're not fighting it going down the highway. You're not fighting it going down the interstate. Because the fairing that on the street glide that is fixed to the bars, when you hit wind, it moves the bars. When I hit
Oh
wind, it
yeah.
doesn't move the bars because my bars are hidden behind it, and my fairing is locked to the frame of my bike. So I'm not fighting all that, going down the road, which I think is why I can put, so many miles on a bike, in a day, because I don't feel any of that. Like I'm hidden behind all of that. And the way I have mine set up, literally I sit behind the fairing, low down. I've got a low cut seat, with high bars, so my hands are up in the wind, but my body is not, and I look right over the top of my Clockworks fairing, that throws all the wind up over the top of me, so I don't get hit by wind at all.
Right.
Now,
Yeah,
rain on the other
I've
hand,
never. Oh yeah.
rain on the other hand, I get smoked by.
Oh, I'm sure. Honestly, I've never ridden a road glide at all. And when I was looking for my bike, I had, when I first got my '03. Now mind you, before that I had a '97 Honda Magna, and it's a little 750. I'm a big guy. If I threw a passenger on the rear of the bike, it would like I would be 65 and it would be pegged. I'm
Yeah,
hoping for a hill or whatever. So when I got something, I'm like, I want to get something full size. And that bike scared me because I was going from a 750 to I think that's a 1200 or a 1300
yeah,
in my '03. But again, buying somebody else's masterpiece. They'll say artwork or whatever, because when it comes to a Harley, unless you do it yourself, you have no clue what they've done to it, because they're not going
exactly.
to give you the Pro Charger, they're not going to give you the Dyna schematics or whatever. I mean, come to find out, when I got the '03, it had an SNS gear drive. There was the orange tuner box that was in it. So like I knew going into it that this bike's got something, but I don't know what. Um, and so I've always had a movable fairing per se, so it's not out of the norm for me. Now, one thing that I would have to ask is, when I turn my handlebars, my lights move with me. But what is your like? Is it different for you, or does the Road Glide? I know they make aftermarket, but does the Road Glide's lights move with you now, or is that on the newer
No.
model?
So here's my comeback to that. And everybody always asks, well, your headlight doesn't move. How are you going to see going through a corner? I'm like, well, think about your car. Does your car's headlights move when you go through a corner? No, they don't.
Not
So
not well. Some of them have that technology
some of
nowadays,
them do.
but when we first started
Yeah,
driving, I mean, hell,
most of
we
them
had
don't. Yeah,
the glass halogen bulbs. You had to change
right.
the whole thing out.
Yeah, most of them don't. And
No,
the other big difference is on your batwing fairing, which is what the street glides and the ultras, have. They only have one headlight, and it's right in the middle, and that's why it
right,
turns with the handlebars. My bike has two, so it throws a wider beam than the street glide because of having two. So
Of the
I
street
get
glide, yeah, unless you have the lights like I have, the lamps, which give me that three
right, right.
lights.
But
But
just stock for stock, mine has two headlights, so it's got a wider array of what you can see. And I've never had a problem, not being able to see. And what's funny is the only time that I've ever had a problem being able to see, I was on a bike with a single headlight and a batwing fairing, and I about smoked a trailer tire that was laying in the middle of the interstate. And that was the only time that I've I've ever not been able to see at night with a motorcycle. So it's one of those. Does it take a little getting used to? Sure. And do you do some stupid things like when you're working on your fairing or whatever, and it like you move it so that you can get more room, and then all of a sudden your fairing doesn't move, and it's like, oh wow, there's like a huge gap there that you can't get to because your fairing doesn't move. But you get used to it, and it's just got it's just different, and it's the so
now,
the
go ahead.
the the fairing that I have is the same thing that's on like a Goldwing, because Goldwing fairings don't move. So it's the same type of fairing that's mounted to the frame, which is why those Goldwing guys. If you want to talk about people who can ride a ton of miles, those Goldwing guys can ride forever, and they never have to stop. They
Right.
never, and that's the same type of fairing that's on the Road Glide.
I feel Goldwing. I, we're too young for Goldwings right now, dude. Like I'm
I
just saying, like I've seen them. They kind of look cool, but in a sense of it's, I have to say it's a Honda. I
that
just
hey,
I don't know.
but that
I'm not bad mouthing them.
No, no, no. But that's one of those that, like, when I was looking at the Road Glide, I liked the Goldwing. They've got a sport version that doesn't have the tour pack on it, and I was looking really hard at those. Um,
That looks
you
like
know, th-
A Skidoo for me though. That looks like
yeah,
a wave runner.
yeah.
I know
But
which one
they
you're talking
are
about.
the so they're clutchless. They shift automatically. They're fast. And it's a full blown. I mean, it's 1,000 pound bike that can go 0 to 60 in like 4 seconds. I mean, it's stupid fast.
That's stupid fast. Now, because we got off on a tangent talking about bikes, but what you've been to a lot of dealers, and I know that
Oh
you
yeah,
collect chips from these dealers and whatnot, and you've been all of to Illinois, all of the ones in Indiana, you know,
yeah.
Tennessee, Kentucky. I mean, you've been down that way.
There's only 200. I think I'm right at like 206 dealers in the United States that I haven't been to. So there's only
Okay,
206 that I haven't been to or don't have a chip from. Of course, I've done some trading and gotten some from some people, but a big chunk of those. If you're east of the Mississippi, I've probably been in your dealership.
right on. Now, what's your favorite one out of all those?
So my favorite one is the Harley factory in uh, it's the Harley factory store in Orlando. They literally bought an old factory and put a Harley dealer in it. And just the way it's set up, just where it is, like it's literally an old factory with these huge glass doors. Um, and it's part of the Orlando dealership group that I think there's five dealerships all kind of around Orlando. Um, and it's just kind of a cool vibe. There's really not a whole lot. It's in Orlando, but there's not a whole lot around it. Like there's not restaurants. It's not like a commercialized area. It's literally a factory. And they had tons of bikes. They had just all kinds of stuff there that was, Harley related and just really cool. So, that's my,
Absolutely, yeah. That seems like a pretty cool dealership. I've been to Orlando before, but I've never been to the Harley in Orlando or whatnot. Because at the time I wasn't a Harley rider, so
yeah,
I had no reason to stop there or whatnot, and I didn't have any Harley riders in the friendship or whatnot. So, but
yeah. Well,
very 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 cool.
yeah, I think that's a good place to stop for the second episode. Dan, give me your thought for the day.
I think the thought for the day would be You know what? Give me a second. You give me yours. I've got a
So
couple things, and let's give me
mine I
yours.
think is going to be get out and see the world. We talked about different dealers, we talked about different places. Get out and see the world. My where I bought my bike from was in northern Illinois, where my favorite dealer is in the central part of Florida. Just get out and see the world.
Yeah, that does, and I think what I would say that my daily tip, just uh, try something new. I don't know if that kind of piggybacks on last week's, but you know, like food or like we're all creatures of habit, and I just think trying something different, and not be so one-sided, or whatnot. So I got it. You always get me out. You catch me off guard when you give me that last one, man. I'm gonna be prepared. I'm gonna be prepared next time. I promise.
There
I
we go.
pro
There we
I,
go.
pro I
So
promise.
that's
But
that's going to wrap up episode 2. Everybody tune in again next week, and we'll have episode number 3 for you from the Motor Misfits, uh, and we'll see you then.